October has always been my favorite month. The perfect temperature, leaves turning vibrant shades of orange and brown, and that refreshing October breeze make it truly special. My friends and I have fond memories of playing in the leaves, wrestling in piles we'd create when we were younger, around the ages of 9 to 12. On one particular late October day, my friends Liam and Billy were helping me rake up the leaves into a massive pile. Our house was situated on a corner, and it had a large space on the side leading to a short dead-end street, home to only 2 houses. The owners of these neighboring homes were somewhat reclusive, so we felt free to be as loud and boisterous as we liked. We spent roughly half an hour wrestling in the leaves, which we affectionately referred to as our triple threat matches. As dusk fell, we took a break to enjoy some snacks and play video games before my friends insisted on a nighttime wrestling match in the leaves. We headed back outside. It was nearly dark, but a nearby streetlight illuminated our side yard. We had noticed that the pile had dispersed somewhat, so we needed to rake the leaves back into place. Liam discovered a long, oddly shaped pile we hadn't seen before. As he started raking it over to our main pile, he appeared to struggle. Suddenly he yelled, "There's something under the leaves." We rushed over to help him uncover whatever was hidden underneath. To our shock, we revealed a grown man hiding beneath the pile. Our initial reaction was a mixture of fear and disbelief. We couldn't decide if this was someone playing an early Halloween prank on us, or if it was something more sinister. The man's face was still concealed, but this odd encounter left us baffled. We debated whether to laugh it off as a prank or react with alarm. As Liam tried to expose the man's face, he noticed that the body beneath the leaves was oddly hard and hollow, with no discernible head. It was then clear that the figure was merely a fake body, and the laughter ensued. We thought that someone had set up this elaborate prank, but remained puzzled about who was behind it. Our questions were soon answered when we spotted another person hiding in the bushes just behind the leaf pile. Without hesitation, we yelled, "We see you!" The man hiding in the bushes emerged, chuckling and taking credit for the prank. He claimed that he always watched us play in the leaves and thought it would be amusing to participate in our wrestling match. The man was older, about 60 years old, and he appeared unsettling, with bulging eyes, crooked teeth, and heavy breathing. His comment about always watching us sent chills down our spines. We were unsure about how to react but maintained politeness. We decided to leave the man in the yard and retreated inside. I immediately reported the encounter to my dad, and he went outside to check. However, by the time he arrived, the man had removed the fake body. For the rest of the evening, my friends and I tried to enjoy video games, but the incident had cast a shadow on the night. Later, as I lay in my room with the window open, I heard a man's voice at my window. I couldn't identify who it was, but the voice said, "I didn't mean to creep you out earlier. I live in the house across the street over there. I like watching you kids playing in the leaves." This unexpected encounter left me in shock. I continued looking at the window and eventually recognized the familiar face of the man from earlier. He reached his arm under my window, attempting to climb inside. However, he realized he couldn't fit, and I could see him trying to reach for me. I screamed for my dad and ran to his room seeking help. I pulled my dad out of bed and led him to my window, but by the time we arrived, the man was gone. My dad called the police, and we went to the neighbor's house. I watched from the doorway as the man opened the front door. It was indeed the same man, but he was clearly under the influence of something, likely crystal meth, as my dad suspected. The sight inside his house was appalling, confirming our suspicions. We had lived all those years unaware that a creepy meth addict had been living in that disheveled house, watching us as we played in the leaves. This story unfolded last October when I was spending time with a girl named Nikki, whom I'd met at a party a month earlier. We had been getting to know each other, and I suggested going apple picking as one of our October activities. Nikki loved the idea, so we embarked on a drive to the nearest apple orchard, situated about a half-hour away in the rural part of our suburban New Jersey area. As we were driving down a scenic road with minimal traffic, we passed what seemed to be another apple orchard. We decided to check it out, pulling onto a dirt road leading to a small, wooden, farm-like house. However, the area appeared deserted, with no cars, people, or a stand where visitors could pay to enter. It seemed that the orchard was either closed or not open to the public at all. The house appeared neglected, as if nobody lived there. Uncomfortable with the eerie atmosphere, Nikki and I returned to the car and continued our journey to the initially planned orchard. Much to our surprise, the second orchard was also devoid of people, with a closed sign at the stand. I suggested that we return to the first orchard, which seemed almost abandoned, and pick apples there since we would have the place to ourselves. Nikki was initially hesitant, but eventually agreed. We drove back and found a discreet place to park on the grass near the woods. As we began exploring the orchard, Nikki expressed her unease. Nevertheless, we ventured further and soon found ourselves surrounded by rows of apple trees, hidden from sight. We had the orchard to ourselves, and the thrill of doing something we weren't supposed to added an element of excitement to our apple-picking adventure. We started selecting the best apples and filling the plastic bags we had brought from my car. However, there weren't many apples to pick. Playfully, I began tossing apples in the air and pretended to aim them at Nikki. She screamed and ran, encouraging me to stop. She cut through a couple of rows to another section, and when I reached the other side, I couldn't see her. I called out to her, but she didn't respond. Suddenly, apples began landing near me from a nearby row, and I yelled for the person to stop. Anxiously, I ran through the rows to find Nikki, but the person tossing apples revealed himself. Standing about 5 trees away, he was a young man around 18 or 19 years old, with long black hair. He wore a slight smirk on his face and didn't move. His presence sent shivers down my spine. Terrified, I squeezed through the trees into the next row, then the one after. Eventually, Nikki called my phone, sounding panicked. She informed me that a creepy guy had been following her in the orchard. She had tried talking to him, but he remained silent and appeared menacing. Her description matched the guy I had just encountered. I told Nikki to meet me back at the car, and I retraced my steps. Fortunately, Nikki was already waiting at the car. As we discussed the unsettling encounter, Nikki suddenly pointed ahead, exclaiming, "There he is." The creepy man was partly concealed by an apple tree, spying on us with a half-hidden face. I decided to get us away from this unsettling situation. I executed a 3-point turn and left the orchard, passing by the abandoned barn-like house and returning to the road. We stumbled upon a fruit stand with several people working there and stopped to pick some apples and berries. We had lost our apple bags in our haste. Nikki and I decided to ask about the nearby apple orchard from the stand workers. The 2 ladies operating the stand immediately advised us never to go near that orchard. They recounted a chilling story. The owner's son had murdered his girlfriend and vanished. Her body was found near the orchard in the forest. Although the orchard's owner continued to maintain it, he rarely returned, avoided the police, and had never kept up with them. As we described our encounter with the mysterious man, the ladies chastised us for not calling the police. They assured us it was best to leave when we did, and one of them said she would warn the police. Throughout the drive home, Nikki spoke to me about the incident, but my thoughts raced with the realization that we may have come face to face with a missing murderer in an apple orchard. The memory continues to send shivers down my spine, wondering if that man is still lurking in the orchard